Hey everybody, Baldoric here. Today we're going to be talking about Mirabilis, the new Anima Mythic hero for Fire Emblem Heroes as of June 2020. And wow, what a great unit she is, honestly. Fills a lot of interesting defensive roles, support roles, and works really well for her season. So, let's talk a little bit about what makes her so good, why I think she's going to thrive in her season, and how to build her in different ways, okay? So first, let's talk about her exclusive skills. Flower of Ease. Grants res +3. If a penalty is active on any foes within 3 columns centered on unit, inflict attack, defense, and res -3 on those foes during combat. Then it goes over what a penalty is, which is basically, anything that has like that down arrow or like a panic, threaten, something like that going on them. So what's interesting about that skill is it's basically like a debuffer, right? So it doesn't decrease speed, which, that's another thing, but it makes it so that anyone that's in that 3 columns from her, as long as you have like some kind of panic penalty or whatever on them, it's giving them a little bit of a debuff, which is going to be helping out any of your offense units as long as she is close enough. Now, that is a little bit tricky to pull off, only because you don't generally want units like her in the front line. But with the 3 space thing, and as long as she is just close enough, it should actually help pretty good and help a little bit more in guaranteeing some kills and survivability with that attack decrease too. But I think the biggest thing is her Whimsical Dream. So, grants another action target ally. It's just a dance skill, but it also gives +5 attack to target ally and allies within 2 spaces of the target. Inflicts attack -5 on the nearest foes within 4 spaces of target ally, and any foes within 2 spaces of those foes through their next action. Basically, you dance somebody. If that person is within 4, and when you dance, if there's an enemy within 4 spaces, they get attack -5. And then if there are enemies within 2 spaces of that person, they get attack -5. So when you dance with this unit, she is decreasing the attack of pretty much the entire enemy team by 5. That's like an attack smoke 2 going off for like just dancing, which is amazing. It's a fantastic thing to use. So now you have to think of this. She is a defense hero, so you're not going to be like, going up and attacking. And when I was talking about the front line earlier, I meant that for offense. But on defense, since she's just going to be doing whatever the AI wants, this stuff is going to happen really good, really frequently. That's the word I'm looking for. She is going to be going in and dancing and doing things like that, and it's going to be honestly really powerful. Now, I don't use it on any of my builds here, but I will say I do think Wings of Mercy has some playability with her. I personally recommend other things, but you can definitely use her on a strong Wings of Mercy AR defense team, and I think she's going to work really well with that. But she gives debuffs to all the opponents, she buffs all your allies, and honestly, she's really tanky. So she's got survivability and she's got debuffs, making her a great defensive hero. Really good to have on your team. Probably a good replacement for a Duma if you have Duma on your team, since he doesn't do a whole lot other than helping to get rid of things like Vantage Sweeper builds, which are prominent, but there are other ways to take care of those. So let's talk about some of her builds, ways to use her defensively, and honestly, her base kit is pretty good, but I do make some changes. So a max invest for AR defense. Now, I'm going to say the Glacius can change, okay? That can definitely change. I'm using it only because her res stat is like monstrous, and I think it'd be fun to get one of those off. Depending on what kind of a team you have her on, though, it might work really well. But let's go over her skills here. She comes with Fort Defense Res and Sabotage Defense. I think these are actually fine to keep on her. You could switch those out if you want to use a different Sabotage, or if you want to use a different B slot, like I was saying, Wings of Mercy. Also fine. I do think Fort Defense Res is great to have on her, only because her defensive stats are really where she thrives. Now, I chose Fort Res here because I wanted to make sure her res stat was even higher for Glacius, and because I'm using Defense Res Oath, as long as the conditions are met, she is getting up to 48 defense, and 62 res, which is really powerful. And that is before you even factor in any of your allies' buffs. So very tanky, very powerful. If you can make it so that, she does go in and do some attacking anywhere in this, like if she has to or whatever, Glacius, if it goes off, is going to do a ton of damage because of the boost that's coming from her res stat, which is going to be at 62, presuming that she does get Defense Res Oath and whatever other buffs may happen. Will do a lot of damage. But the big thing is that she is going to be able to survive a lot of hits. The problem that she does have is she is definitely lacking in speed, so she will get doubled quite a bit. So you do still probably want to keep her out of combat if possible, but I mean, it is defense, so who knows? You just got to play. The AI is going to do what it does. So you want to make her as tanky as possible so that she can survive, get those dances off so that her skills are happening to give the debuffs to the opponent's team. Okay, so I think this is a cool way to do it. Again, you can change Glacius, like Mumbo is probably more consistent here. You could probably put that. I just think it'd be really cool to get a big Glacius off with something like this. Now, this is something you could use if you wanted to use her as like the arena bonus unit, or if you just wanted to give her like a bunch of max invest skills. This is a little bit more down the middle in terms of giving her skills. We're still using that Fort Defense Res and Sabotage Defense 3. Again, could change these, but I honestly think they're fine in this slot. Joint Drive Attack is a little bit difficult to get. You could make this any other joint one. I chose Joint Drive Attack because of the way she works. She is kind of buffing people from all around, not necessarily next to anybody. So I think that actually works out really good, keeping her at the correct amount of spaces away, while also debuffing the enemy team and buffing your team. So that should work really well. I chose Fort Defense instead of Fort Res here because I wanted to make her defense and res stats a little bit more even so that she has a little bit more survivability. Ruptured Sky I think is fantastic because it's a max scoring for a special. It's a max scoring skill for a special, and it can do 20% more damage or 40 if it is a dragon unit, giving her a little bit of an extra damage boost, excuse me, if you are going against a dragon. But 20% is helpful anyways if you get that off. Hopefully she's never going to have to attack, but if she's a bonus unit, you do need to get that one kill, so that could be a great way to get that off. So, great unit, works well in arenas as well. Obviously she's geared towards 8th rate defense, but if you did want to use her as that bonus unit, because she will be for a while, that's a way you could do it for max invest, okay? Now for a budget build, ideally you want to get her with minus speed, plus res, or something like that on pull. The plus, honestly, you could have defense and you could have attack. That's going to work. I don't want attack because I know I'm going to be decreasing it anyways. I'd rather increase her survivability. But her base kit is fantastic. All I added onto this unit was Mumbo. Everything else you see here, and obviously besides the S slot, everything else you see here comes on the unit. So you can pretty much just give her all of the skills she has and she's still going to work incredibly well. Defense res gap is just going to increase survivability of, whatever your tankiest unit is. And as long as, if you're playing with like a main tank unit, like for example, I use Itsuki a lot in arenas, or sometimes I use him as well in 8th raids if I'm trying to use like an actual tank. Usually defense res gap is going to be targeting him because he has the highest defense and res in the team, increasing his survivability even more. And on a defense team, you would have something like that you would have like a distant counter type build on him, and you want to have more defense res to make sure he survives whatever it is coming in, or whatever unit you have that is. And defense res gap will help with that. Fort defense, you could swap this for Fort res. I chose it only because I wanted to have a nice mix, because I don't have max invest. This is like I just pulled it. I want to make sure survivability is pretty high. I think that's a good way to do it, kind of even out that defense res stat. Obviously your attack is dropping, but her goal is not to go in and attack, especially if you just have her at +0. You want to make sure that she's doing her support role well, surviving, and getting those debuffs off on foes that are going to be a problem, okay? So that being said, I think that just about covers this unit. Very happy with this unit. Haven't pulled her yet. Trying to, but maybe I'll get her. Hopefully you have better luck than I do. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, consider subscribing. I'm going to be putting out more videos just like this one in the future about Mythics, Grand Hero battles. In fact, there's another one in the pipeline for the new Grand Hero battle unit. That should be coming out in a couple days. We'll see about that. But thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.